6 hours and a half to go. Come to this really picturesque place called Cassis. Check this out. Look at that. How French do you feel? Decided to do this randomly with completely the wrong footwear and everything on. Everybody's like got hiking shoes on and stuff. It's halfway through our French road trip and we're currently in Aix-de-Provence, or Aix-de-Provence, is how you say it, and I wanted to give you a quick update about the motorhome and how it's all been going. Now granted, we've not been staying in this the whole week. It's, you know, halfway through the first week now, and we're now in this lucky enough to stay in this beautiful villa. So we did 2 days of driving in here and stayed over one night, 3 of us and 5 dogs, so that was quite interesting. And actually the first night we actually went completely off grid because we got to our campsite, which was a nice campsite and a nice place, but the actual camping area where the camper vans and the motorhomes and tents and all that sort of stuff was quite crowded, and it was a little bit tucked out of the way of where the nice scenery was. So what we did is we just basically pitched up in front of this great big lake, and yeah, it was a better view, but it meant there was no hookup there, no water, no anything. So we just basically went completely off grid, and it was interesting, yeah, really interesting stuff. But actually for one night it was perfectly fine. I mean, we've got gas, so the heating side of it was kind of sorted. Got my portable battery powered generator, and that actually came in really handy because on the Eurotunnel you're not allowed to turn your gas on and stuff like that. So I was able to boil a kettle just purely on electric power. So bearing in mind this is all kind of new to us, we didn't really know what to expect, didn't know how everything was going to work that well, but actually it's brilliant. It's absolutely perfect. It's like you get hot water obviously from your gas powered system. This system is absolutely awesome. I've been looking into this as well. It's basically a space heater, boiler and hot water, so you know you get hot water heating everything, and it runs from multiple sources as well. So it runs from electricity. If you go into here, you can actually see here, you can actually switch what you want your power source to come from. So when you're hooked up, you've got 2 different power levels depending on the sort of campsite or what you're using. It might even run off that inverter actually. The electric water heater kicks in, so you can basically heat up your water in, I don't know, like half an hour, 45 minutes, you're getting hot water coming out. So it's fantastic for that. We didn't really need the heating that much because, you know, it's quite warm here in the south of France, or even middle of France. It's still comparable to like the UK temperatures at the moment. I did actually test the heating out because it got a bit chilly in the morning where we were. We were right by a lake, so it was pretty cold and damp. But fantastic, just being out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, so awesome. All the other systems have been working well. You know, the battery levels actually in the home at the moment are pretty good because you've got the solar panel which is on the top. You can see the battery levels are all good. Lighting was working really well. I mean, so much light in here. It's really well done. All LED as well, so it just doesn't take any power. I had these kind of low mood lights. There's these blue lights underneath here. You can see them down there. These actually create a really nice kind of ambience in the night. Had those on all night, and obviously that isn't going to drain the battery much at all. The fridge system's interesting as well, because this runs on 12 volts when the engine's running off the alternator. It also runs on mains power as well, so when you're hooked up. And it's supposed to run on gas as well, but I haven't actually kind of figured out how that actually works yet. So I just went inside and got a little coffee. Didn't make that in here. But what's interesting about boiling water using the gas versus the induction, I've mentioned this before, this is a 500 watt induction hob, and that hob basically runs on my inverter setup, which I've got here. Now if you regularly watch the videos, you know what this is. This is basically like a 1000 watt inverter, and this is full of lithium ion batteries. So remember, we're only renting this motorhome, so we can't go and kind of install anything permanently. If I did have one of these motorhomes, then I would, yeah, well, the sky's the limit really of what you could actually do. So this 500 watt hob plugs into that power pack. So basically that versus the conventional way of doing it, which is obviously using your gas on there, or I've found that actually boils nearly the same speed as this. I suppose it's something to do with these hobs because they're quite small. But that wasn't really what I was expecting. I was expecting the gas to boil a lot faster. But that little system works absolutely fantastically. You only put in as much water as you need, so you just measure the cups of water out and then pour them in here, and then you're only boiling what you need. And I may have used it like a few times, and we're only down to about 85%. Actually, I did charge this up using my other power pack, which I'll go into that at some other point. But basically, yeah, it was about 75%, something like that, down to that for basically two kettle runs. So obviously now we're at the villa, what I'm going to do is charge this up because it has a mains power supply basically built into it. So a couple of people have said, why'd you bother with that if you've got gas? Yeah, kind of true, but I mean, I didn't actually fill this motorhome up with gas. I just basically wanted to use the gas for hot water, maybe heating, but yeah, really just limit what you actually kind of using, because there's no point filling up a massive tank of gas if you're not going to use it. And that power supply would run lots of things. You could even run a 500 watt heater off that. Also, it's really useful for running the skateboard, the electric skateboard. I can recharge that because that's only got a mains power supply. Things like that, like laptops, you know, stuff that runs off mains. There's no other way of doing it. So guys, I thought I'd give you a quick update on how things were going. It is just awesome. I'd like to stay in it for longer. The girls wanted to stay at the villa, so that's fine. But been planning the route on the way back. Hopefully we can go through some of the Alps, or on the edge of the Alps, and get some good shots there. So I've dropped the car off, and I'm not going to bother getting an Uber back because look at this traffic. It is just insane. So got the boosted board, going to try and find a quick way to get back. Challenging, but not the most challenging place I've ridden the boosted board. Right, now comes the interesting bit. It basically goes up at this gradient, like, I don't know, about 3 or 4 kilometres or something like that. So let's go. On the way back, taking the scenic route. Stops for a bit of lunch. the UK, that felt like a blooming long drive. I know a lot of you say like it's not that far at all, Andy. Like, you know, we drive across Europe and we drive across like the States and stuff like that, massive countries all the time. But to me and to us, it felt like a blooming long way. We had such an awesome adventure though. Like, if you ever get the opportunity to do it, 100% recommend it. Get the motorhome, drive the length of France and just soak it up. It is just a fantastic thing to do, and make sure you kind of stop and go to all the different places where you can see all the scenery and stuff. Like, there was a couple of routes we took. The first one was sticking to the main roads, which was shorter but definitely not as scenic. The second one on the way back was just absolutely epic. My Instagram feed has just come alive. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Big shout out to New Motorhomes who hooked us up on this one, and we'll catch you in the next video.